Welcome, Stache, to another episode of Stache Sports. Today we'll go over a recap. Earlier, before we left, the Pittsburgh Penguins were playing the Carolina Hurricanes. The Pittsburgh Penguins always have trouble against Carolina for some reason. I don't understand, but they can never win against Carolina. But it was a great game. The Pittsburgh Penguins came back with Sidney Crosby's first game back on the ice and lost in overtime. Yes, they lost in overtime yet again. The Pittsburgh Penguins have woes this year in overtime, and for some reason cannot win in overtime. I don't know what it is or why they can't win in overtime, but for some reason they cannot win in overtime, and I just don't get it. I don't know why why the Pittsburgh Penguins have trouble winning in overtime. I know it's 3-3, so maybe they need to update it to 4-4 or something, but for some reason the Pittsburgh Penguins cannot win in overtime, which is troubling. Let's hope the Pittsburgh Penguins can finish this and do a lot better. They need to. They have a couple days off right now before they play again on Saturday, I believe. But let's hope the Penguins can finish off. I mean, at least they got 1 point against Carolina, who's number one in the division right now, and may be able to still chase them. But they needed to get 2 points against Carolina to go in a race. But at least they're getting above the Islanders, and the Islanders lost last night, which is good for the Penguins. Because the Penguins need the Islanders to lose, which is good. Even though the Columbus Blue Jackets won last night, who were on our tail, the Pittsburgh Penguins got close last night, but came up short. The Pittsburgh Penguins came up short last night, but that's okay. They'll get back in the game. They'll get back to their game hopefully on Saturday, and we'll talk about that tomorrow. But let's hope they can get back to their game. But it was nice to see Sidney Crosby back. It was nice to see Sidney Crosby, because Sidney Crosby looked like he was ready to be back in mid-season form after having a bad injury during the Winter Olympic break. So it was nice to see him come back, and it was nice to see him have a good game against the Islanders. He even had a goal, which is good. Let's hope that Malkin and them can get their acts together, and they can start playing better. They need to keep winning. But it's a good thing that the Islanders lost last night, because the Islanders, like I said, were right on the Penguins' tail. So it's a good thing that they lost. So the Penguins don't have to worry about taking more games ahead of the Islanders. It's either secure second place or third place, because the Penguins don't need to be messing around in the wild card and trying to play these better teams. I really do think the Penguins have a good shot of winning it all this year, making a good playoff run. For those of you who don't know, the Penguins were good a couple years ago, back in the playoffs, making the playoffs every year, even if they didn't go far, but they would at least make the playoffs every year. But these last few years, the Pittsburgh Penguins have not been in the playoffs. Something needed to change. That's why they fired their head coach, Mike Sullivan, which is good. Mike Sullivan's Rangers are near the bottom right now. So I don't know what it is. They're near a rebuild too. I know Mike Sullivan didn't want to come and rebuild here, but now he has a rebuild. But now he has a rebuild in New York. But damn, he's just really turned him around. He's really got Erik Karlsson playing a lot better. I don't know what it is, if it's a new playing style or what it is, but Erik Karlsson is playing a lot better now for the Pittsburgh Penguins. I mean, I can't believe how good Erik Karlsson's playing. Erik Karlsson's looking really good for the Penguins and looking really good for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Let's hope Erik Karlsson can do better. I mean, last couple of years, Erik Karlsson was okay for the Penguins, but didn't really live up to the hype of the trade. But these last few games, Erik Karlsson, and so far this season, Erik Karlsson has really found his light. I don't know if it's just taking this long for him to find his light and do a lot better, or if it's a coaching system. But maybe the coaching system knows how to game plan around him better and help him game plan better and help him with that. But I don't know what it is. But Erik Karlsson's looking a lot better. Chris Letang needs to start playing better too. Chris Letang has been really off. I know Chris Letang is older, so maybe it's time that in the offseason, if they don't, they move on from him and try to get younger there. I'm going to miss Chris Letang if that's the option. But I don't know. Letang, I like Chris Letang, but Chris Letang is just not living up to the hype this year and not doing as good as he can. I don't know if it's because of his age or what it is, but he's just not looking good right now. Maybe he could turn around and go in the playoffs, and we can have a hot streak in the playoffs with him if we make it to the playoffs. But I don't know. But we'll see. We'll see. I really do hope that the Pittsburgh Penguins. But the Pittsburgh Penguins have a couple of days off. Now they're finally back at home after a 5-game losing streak. But they didn't do bad on it. I didn't even know how many games they were going to win on a 5-game win streak. But they won a couple games and lost a couple games in overtime, which got them a couple points, which is good. Because, like I said, during the most of that 5-game, we didn't have both our captains, Sidney Crosby. We didn't have Sidney Crosby, and we didn't have Evgeny Malkin because Evgeny Malkin got suspension from slashing, like I said in my videos before. So I don't know. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I don't know how good they're going to do, but they did pretty good without our top 2 superstars. But now they're back. Let's hope they can get reloaded and start going good and start getting more wins and getting more separation between them, the Islanders, and the Columbus Blue Jackets to get second place. Let's hope they can even get to first place. I know they got to play the Carolina Hurricanes a little more, but we'll see. But we'll see what happens. But we'll see what happens. Like I said, the Penguins have off today. And they play again tomorrow. But we'll talk about that in tomorrow's episode. Yesterday I didn't do an episode because but we'll talk about that tomorrow. Also, but we'll see what the Penguins do. Let's hope the Pittsburgh Penguins can come back and win. But it's not bad. At least in overtime they get a point. I know people are complaining about they have to be on for overtimes or whatever, and they need to add more players. But that's maybe a different point, but we'll see. That might be a different object, but we'll see. I just hope the Pittsburgh Penguins can continue their winning ways and win. But we'll see. It's going to be an interesting time for the Penguins and the Penguin fans. They're in the playoff spot right now. A lot of people, like I said at the beginning of the year, thought our beloved Pittsburgh Penguins would be near the bottom of the team. It will be near the bottom, but now they're in the top. So we'll see. Let's hope they can continue winning and continue their winning ways. But I think the Penguins come back and win tomorrow night. Here in my Friday, March, yesterday's hockey recap. Like I said, the Bruins won. They beat the Jets 6-1. The Blackhawks won 2-1. The Utah Mammoths won 4-0 against Vegas. Wow. And like I said, good thing the Islanders lost to the Senators. That helps the Penguins. The Red Wings won against the Carolina Canadiens. The Blue Jackets won against the Rangers. And the Predators won against the Kraken. And the Panthers beat the Oilers 4-0. And the Lightning beat the Canucks 6-2. And the Buffalo Sabres won 5-0. Who believes that? Wow, I can't believe it, that the Buffalo Sabres are doing this good and turning around the season. I can't believe that we might see the Buffalo Sabres playoff run before we get a Grand Theft Auto 5. Come on, Rockstar, let's get a new Grand Theft Auto game. But I can't believe that. But I might see a Buffalo Sabres playoff run before we see a new Grand Theft Auto game. I got the Flyer and the Flyer. Yeah, nasty. The Flyers beat the Kings. Gross. That is really disgusting. I got the Blackhawks over the Avalanche over the Blackhawks tonight. I got the Hurricanes over the Maple Leafs. I got the New Jersey Devils over the Capitals. I got the Panthers over the Calgary Flames. And I got the Ducks over the Utah Mammoth. And Wednesday night, the Boston Celtics took care. But let's hope the Panthers can win. They have a day off today, and they're coming back home. At least a couple of these 2 days of rest helps them off of that 5-game win streak, 5-game road trip. Well, most of them, besides in Carolina, are on the West Coast. It's tough to play on the West Coast when you're an East Coast team. But let's hope the Pittsburgh Penguins can continue back. But like I said, I'll talk more about that tomorrow. I'll talk more about that tomorrow. But I'll talk more about that tomorrow in tomorrow's video. Other stuff we missed is the Boston Celtics won 121-99 against the Golden State Warriors. Then moved to 46-23 and 24-10 at home. It's good. The Boston Celtics is looking really good. They look like a team that compete in the East. I still can't believe that Jason Tatum is back already. Wow, that's quite impressive. That's quite impressive that Jason Tatum's back already. I can't believe that he's back and in action. It's mind-boggling that he's ready playing. But they won 120-99. Jason Tatum had 24 points, which is good, in 31 minutes. Sam Howard had 6 points. Quentin had 6 points. Derek White had 11 points. And Jaylen Brown had a 32-point night. That's good. Jaylen Brown is looking like a real true superstar this year. It's good to see the turnaround he's had while having his buddy Jason Tatum in for most of the year. I'm glad that Jaylen Brown is looking really good. A bench. Luke Gaza, had 15 points. Peyton Pritchard had 19 points. I can't believe Peyton Pritchard is looking like one of the great bench players coming off our bench this year. Peyton Pritchard has really turned around the corner and looking really good in the absence, too, of Jason Tatum this year. So the Celtics are looking really good. And I think they can have a deep playoff run if they make it. And if probably are going to make it, and they might either make it as a 1 or 2 seed. So that's good for the Boston Celtics. The Thunder won 121-99 on Wednesday night. 92 on Wednesday night. The Trailblazers won 127-119. Or whatever. That's a recap for the Boston Celtics. Tonight's games, I got the Celtics beating the Grizzlies. I got the Knicks beating the Brooklyn Nets. I got the Warriors beating the Pistons beating the Warriors. I got the Hawks beating the Raptors, and the Timberwolves beating the Trailblazers, and the Nuggets beating the Raptors. But that's pro basketball. Right now, Stache Sports is focused, since we got 11 minutes, Stache Sports is focused on college basketball and the March Madness tournament, men's and women's. Mostly men's March Madness. Yesterday I watched a lot of good men's college basketball games. A lot of decent, some upsets, and some games that were a lot closer. Like the Duke game. Who would have thought that Siena would have gave Duke a run for their money? But Siena almost messed up everybody's bracket last night. But the University of Siena almost messed up everybody's bracket last night, but luckily Duke was able to come back and win. Duke won 71-65. That was a lot closer than people thought. Even me, a Stache Sports, who does brackets every year. I thought that I have Duke going pretty far, so I'm glad they didn't lose, because that would have been a big mess up on my bracket. And yes, after the first games of Ohio State beating TCU, I really didn't have that many perfect brackets out of all the brackets I did. But that was a bubble buster. But I don't really count those as bubble busters or bracket busters. I know they're busted brackets and don't have a perfect bracket, but I count like bigger losses. Like if Duke would have lost last night, that would have been a bigger blow to the bracket than Ohio State, who will have losing to Duke in the next round anyway. Or TCU now, I guess. But Duke won. They started off slow. They were down pretty much for most of the part of the game. They came back around like 9-minute mark in the second half. But people were on the edge of their seat hoping that Duke would come back. A lot of people probably had a lot of money right on that game. I'm hoping that but I don't bet on these. But a lot of people have money probably riding on that. Siena only had one bench player play the whole game. That's quite impressive. They only played the starters most of that game. The top starter was Fulfar with 18 points, and then was Gavin Doherty with 21 points. And Francis with 18 points and 21 points. Duke, Cameron Boozer, that's looking really good for the University of Duke. Cameron Boozer came up last night with 22 points. Malik Brown had 6 points. Isaac Evans had 16. And Clayton Boozer had, there's 2 Boozers. Caden Boozer had 19, and Cam Boozer had 22 points. But Duke has a couple players out, so hopefully they can get their players back before they play Ohio State, or it might be tougher. But we'll see. I don't know. But we'll see. I don't know what's going to happen to Duke and what's going to happen to that. But at least Duke won last night, 71-71 to 65, a lot closer. Siena was 23-12, and Duke is 33-2. But this is why I like March Madness. You never know if some of these teams like Siena is going to make a noise and make a difference. Some of these games are blowouts, and that's what we expect. We'll get to those later on in the video. Like Arkansas and Hawaii. Arkansas won 97-78 against Hawaii, the Rainbow Warriors. The Rainbow Warriors are 24-9 coming in, and Arkansas was 27-8. Hawaii's top scorers, Isaac with 12, and another Isaac with 15. It was Drew Bullock with 21. And the other 2 were close behind. And the top scorer on their bench had 11 points. Arkansas had 16, 19, and 24. Darius Acuff Jr. Darius Acuff Jr. is one of these young players. He's a freshman, but he's looking really good. He might be one of these top players in the NBA draft this year, but Acuff Jr. is looking really good. Darius Acuff Jr. is looking really good for the Arkansas Razorbacks. Even Arkansas even has the old head coach. They got old John Calipari, but he's a coach for the University of Kentucky. So we'll see how far Arkansas goes. But they took care of Hawaii. Michigan took care of Howard, 101-80. Wow. Michigan is one of the top teams in the country. Michigan only has 2 losses, and by a lot of people predicting brackets, Michigan is the number 1 team and one of the top teams to win it all this year. So that's good, but they took care of Howard. Congratulations, Howard, coming, but Howard didn't make it that far. They won their playing game, I think, but that's about it. At least they got 1 game, I guess, since they can count the playing games, but they didn't make it that far. But that's expected. But sometimes you get, like I said, sometimes you get scares, or sometimes you might get some upsets, but we'll see. But Michigan won 101-80. Howard's top bench players on the bench with 19 points. And Bryce Harris had 21 points for Howard. I mean, they gave it a game. They only lost 80, so they at least gave it a game. And there's some points that Howard was above him in that game, you think? Morris Jr. had 21 points for... Morris Johnson Jr. had 21 points for Michigan. He's one of the good players for Michigan. But that's good. Michigan won. So they'll play again, and they'll play again on Saturday. They have a day off because they have to play the other games today, but I'll get into later in the video. Houston won too. Houston is one of the teams like from UCF that came over from the American Conference to the Big 12 when the conference started expanding. And Houston's looking really good. They're 29-6, and they played Idaho, who's 21-15, and they beat them 78 to 47. They were up 48-24 in the first half, going to halftime. They're doing this. Idaho's top scorer was Mitchell with 14 points. And Sharp Fleming with 18 points was Houston score, but they had a lot of people scoring a lot of points. That's why they won a lot. But we'll see. Houston, Houston could be a team that makes it to the Final Four or even all the way to Elite Eight. They're one of the top teams in the country, but it's going to be interesting to see once they start playing these other teams that are fighting for playoff spots in the round of 32, Sweet 16 to make it that far, and obviously every round how far they make it. But Houston is one of the top teams too, but people are predicting to make it at least go all the way or go to Elite Eight or Final Four. But we'll see what happens with Houston and see what they do there. Michigan State took care of North Dakota State. North Dakota State is 27-8, and Michigan is 26-7. Thomas had the most points from North Dakota State. And Cameron Cooper had the most points for Michigan State. But Michigan State is one of the top teams. I have Michigan State going pretty far in a couple of my brackets, so I'm glad they won. They didn't lose. Illinois beat Penn 105-70. That was a decent game. Illinois took care of Penn. The University of Pennsylvania. Wow. One of the players had 29 points. David Markov, I think is how you say it. 29 points. That's a lot of points. And the top scorer for Penn had 20 points. But the rest of the players didn't have that many points, so that's why Penn didn't win. Nebraska beat Troy 76-47. Nebraska finally won the first. Nebraska won the first Nebraska won the first NCAA tournament game in a long, long time. Who would have thought we would see the Nebraska Cornhuskers basketball tournament run before we get a new Grand Rapids Data game? But congratulations to the Nebraska Cornhuskers because they got the first win in March Madness in quite a while. Victor Vades had 14 points for Troy. Nebraska's top scorer had 23 points. Wow. Arkansas. Gonzaga beat Kent State. Kent State almost got it close. It was 73-64. That was probably the better game last night of all the games. That was closer. But that was a good game. I mean, I can't believe that Kennesaw State made them run. Kennesaw State is 24-14. And Gonzaga is 31-3. The top scorer was tied Jonathan and Taylor with 15 points for Kennesaw State. And I had 19 points for Gonzaga. Gonzaga is one of the top teams that can make it pretty far in this March Madness tournament, so that would have been a huge blow if they would have lost last night, but they held off and won. Vanderbilt beat McKee 78-68. That's a good win. Louisville beat South Florida. That's a tough one. I had South Florida at least winning this game, even though I'm a UCF diehard fan, and that was her UCF better rivals. But I had South Florida win, but they lost 83-79. That was a good game. We had a lot of good games yesterday in the afternoon, and not so much in the late night. One of USF players had 22 points, and the other one had 27, and a tough loss. And one of the players on the bench had 12. Louisville top player had 18 or 23. But that's good. And one of them had 18. But congratulations, Louisville. But like I said, I don't think I had to move much further anyway past the second round. So it's not much of an upset. VCU upset North Carolina. I can't believe that North Carolina, that's one of these top dogs in the conference, lost to VCU, Virginia Commonwealth University. It was a tough day yesterday if you're a 6th seed. Both 11 seeds won, and we'll get into the Texas game here in a couple minutes. But I can't believe that VCU won. VCU is 27-8, but they looked really good. Number 6 for VCU looked really good near the end. Terrence Hill Jr. from the bench had 34 points in 40 minutes. So that's really good. And the next closest guy had 15 points. But that's why they won. That was a good game. But that came down to the wire. That even went to overtime. That was the first game in this March Madness tournament that went to overtime. It was North Carolina and VCU. And VCU ended up winning 82-78 against North Carolina. VCU is 28-7. North Carolina is 24-9. But North Carolina has both. There's a lot of people talking today about North Carolina maybe going away from their coach. But we'll see. Texas beat BYU 79-71. That's another 6 seed. BYU 23-12. And Texas had to play the playing game against NC State, but they've won 2 games from the playing game. And like I said a couple days ago, I think Texas was going to make noise. Texas had 23 points and one of the top scorers. And BYU's had a 35 point by AJ. Ooh. But that's an upset too. Texas A&M beat St. Mary's 68-50. That's a good win. That was an upset too. St. Mary's has higher rank than Texas A&M. TCU and Ohio State, that's 8-9. I guess you can say that's a little bit of an upset, but TCU won 66-64 by a last second shot. So that was a good game. It came down to the wire. And Georgia, I can't believe it. Last night I was watching the St. Louis and Georgia game, University of Georgia. But like their mascot, the Georgia Bulldogs were taking a nap on the court. They were taking a little nap on the court because they did not look good at all. They got outplayed and outmatched by St. Louis. They won 102-77. St. Louis is up 49-32 at halftime. But that's a good game for St. Louis. Oops. Right now we have Kentucky and Siena. Or Santa Clara. I think Kentucky's going to win. But who knows? Santa Clara could be an upset. It's only a 2-point game right now. And it's not halftime yet. There's still 7 minutes and 50 seconds left in the first quarter. We got Virginia and Wright State. I think Virginia beats Wright State. We got UCF and UCLA. UCLA is a 7th seed and UCF is a 10th seed. But I think UCF wins. UCF a couple years ago made quite a noise for themselves when they made the March Madness, and we'll get to that here in a minute. But I think UCF wins, and I hope they win. I'll be wearing my UCF hat and my UCF basketball jersey back there. I got my UCF shirt on right now. but I hope UCF wins against UCLA. I have them winning this game, but then I have them losing to UConn a couple of my brackets, but we'll see. I hope UCF can make some noise. They have a couple good players this year, and I think they're coming back. Some players from injuries from the games. But they're not that far apart. UCF is 22-11, and UCLA is 23-11. So I think it'll be a close game. Right now we got Akron and Texas Tech. Akron could make a noise. It's 29-5. Who knows? But I think Texas Tech wins this game. But we'll see. That's the beauty of March Madness. You never know who's going to win these games, and you never know what the outcome's going to be. But that's the beauty of March Madness. But I think Texas Tech holds off. I think Arizona beats Long Island University. I think Iowa State beats Tennessee State. I think Alabama beats Hartford. Utah State and Villanova. That could be a decent game. That's an 8 and 9. So that could be back and forth. Who knows that game? I say Villanova. Miami, Ohio, and Tennessee. Miami, Ohio is coming off a 10-point win against SMU and looking like they belong and shutting up people like Bruce Pearl, that's Auburn in there, over everybody else because the son coached for Auburn. But I don't know. What the heck? Since it's just for fun, I'll just say Miami, Ohio tonight. I think Miami, Ohio wins over Tennessee, but that might be the game. It's going to be interesting to see how good Miami, Ohio can play against Tennessee and not be a play game and see if they really belong. Is Miami this year Cinderella? I know a lot of people in America want to see what Miami, Ohio can do. They love basketball because they fell in love with it. But they want to see what they can do. We'll see. I don't know. That's going to be a tough game. It's in Philadelphia at 4:25. Oh, so that's the game before the UCF game then. You're not playing UConn. But whatever. I'm going off topic. But we'll see. Iowa or Clemson. I think Clemson wins over Iowa, but that's going to be a tough game. That's an 8 and 9, so that's going to be back and forth. North Illinois over St. John's. I think St. John's wins that game. I think Purdue beats Queens University. Queens University is not in Queens, New York, everybody. I looked it up and was wrong. I thought it was in Queens, New York, but it's in Queens. It's in Charlotte, North Carolina, because they called out to Queen City. Florida plays Prairie View and A&M. Florida Gators are the ones who won last year and looking like they could repeat. But we don't really have a repeat champion. We never really have a repeat champion in college basketball because it's hard in college basketball to be a repeat champion. But will Florida Gators break that curse and be a repeat champion? I don't know. But they got to get past Prairie View A&M tonight, which I think they will. We got Kansas and California Baptist. I don't think California Baptist is going to be Kansas. We got UConn and Furman. That's funny. Furman. I think UConn's going to be Furman. And we got later tonight, we got Miami and Missouri. That's going to be a good Miami and Missouri tonight at 10:10 p.m. Eastern on True TV. Miami is at 10:10 Eastern time tonight. I think Miami wins against Missouri, but that's going to be a tough game. I think UCF wins tonight too. I think it's a good night for Florida. I think all the Florida teams can win tonight. I think Miami beats Missouri. I had Miami beating Missouri, so we'll see. This will be UCF's first March Madness game since 2019. And last time that UCF reached in 2019, they lost. But we'll see. I hope UCF wins. Last time a couple years ago in 2019 when they made some noise. But we'll see what they do this year. It's nice to see UCF win it, but now they're in the Big 12, so we'll see. They're going to do good tonight, I hope. I know it's going to be a tough game against UCLA, but maybe UCLA might get time change and be different than time change, but we'll see. But those are my picks for tonight. If you guys want to bet against me or bet with me, even if I'm not betting, then you can pick. Also, if you guys have a perfect bracket still, please let me know down below, because a lot of brackets yesterday got beat up already on day one. So if you guys got perfect brackets still for men's, let me know. Right now, we got Duke winning 54-31 in women's basketball. Ladies basketball, the Lady Blue Devils are winning 54-31, and they should be able to hold off and win that game. TCU is winning 48-25, so they should be able to hold off that game. I think the Virginia Tech ladies beat Oregon ladies. I think Baylor beats Nebraska in the ladies basketball. This is ladies, not men. Nebraska's already moved on to men's. Let's see if they can do it in women's tonight. I think Washington beats South Dakota State. Maryland beats Murray State. I don't know how many upsets are going to be in women's basketball, because I don't want to follow women's basketball. I think Ole Miss beats Gonzaga. I think Texas beats Missouri State. Michigan beats Holy Cross. I think North Carolina women's, that's what North Carolina's men's couldn't do last night, and they win. Well, fine. We'll do an upset. I think Jacksonville University women's beats the LSU Tiger ladies tonight. I think Minnesota beats Green Bay. Michigan State beats Colorado. I think the NC State ladies win against Tennessee. I think Villanova ladies win against Texas Tech. And I think Oklahoma beats Idaho. Wow, some of these teams men's and women's teams are pretty good. Because some of these teams, like I said, are already in both of them, like Nebraska and some of them. But we'll see. It's going to be an interesting game tonight. I hope, if you're watching basketball, I hope you have a good day. I already got my UCF hat on, waiting for the game later tonight at 7 o'clock. Around 7 o'clock when UCF plays. Let's hope UCF can win and make a noise for themselves in March Madness. Let's hope they can beat UCLA and send those California kids back home to California tonight. An action star movie from a lot of Karate Kid movies, and you guys know him good well. Chuck Norris passed away today. Chuck Norris was really old, but he passed away. Let's hope his family and loved ones let's pray for their family and loved ones for this rough time. But Chuck Norris was a great actor and great person, one of the top actors, but he was old, so let's hope, we'll see what happens. But rest in peace, Chuck Norris. We'll miss you in acting. And prayers for your family. But anyway, tomorrow we'll talk more about the March Madness brackets today and talk about the games, even if UCF loses their 4 teams. But I think all 4 teams win tonight. And we'll also talk about the Penguins game day tomorrow when they come home against whoever they play again tomorrow. And we'll talk more about sports tomorrow and recap the women's basketball tomorrow too. But let me know if you guys are watching the college basketball tournament. I'll be watching the rest of these games after I'm done doing this video here in a minute. But we'll see. But thank you for watching Stache Sports. Thank you for watching every episode of Stache Sports. Let me know if your brackets are still perfect or how close you guys got. I mean, I know my bracket's not perfect. That's why you have a good chance of winning the lottery and getting a perfect bracket. But anyway, thank you for watching my episode.